Go pick up Islander, by the way, before we start, of course. 1 week left. It's worth your time. Anyway, so I thought we'd just begin with Biden. Joe Biden this time. I mean, he's just out to lunch, right? Like, we haven't got any sound, but that's okay because we can just observe his very strange behavior. Right now, obviously, just confused old man. Everyone says, "Oh, Joe Biden has done this. Joe Biden has done that." I don't really believe Joe Biden does a lot. Actually, I think that Joe Biden is far too just
millions.
Oh, we have
whose lives will be saved.
But he doesn't know what he's doing. He's a confused man, and this is not news. Just very bizarre things. He's just there's some celebration he's at. And
that's a pride thing, isn't it?
No, it was some black community thing. I can't remember what it was now. But it's just so bizarre that he stood so rigidly straight. Like, these are not normal behaviors of a person who is fully compos mentis, right?
He is like a toddler.
Yeah,
he's got the same stance as you've seen that video where he walks up in front of the reporters and he does a child looking their parents square in the eyes, knowing they're defecating their nappy.
Sure, we'll come to that in a second. But it's the total lack of apparent social skills, right? Makes it appear that he doesn't really know where he is and what he's doing. So it's okay. And like you say, at recent D-Day ceremony in France, as the parent of a toddler, that is a correct assessment.
Yeah, it looks like Macron pulled his finger.
Yeah. We have been reliably informed, though, that he did not poo himself at D-Day event by Daily Beast.
Chat checked.
Yeah, I don't know how they know that in fact he didn't.
We smelled ourselves.
Yeah, but apparently he was looking for a chair, which is like, okay, fine. But isn't that interesting that that's the kind of headline you have to go with? So yeah, Joe Biden didn't actually crap himself this time, actually.
But also,
unlike in front of the Pope. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, if he was, and Camilla, if he was cognitive, and the reporters on the White House, if he was cognitively aware, he would have seen there are no chairs when he just walked up on the stage.
Yeah.
And why everyone else is standing up.
Yeah. I mean, there are, okay. Well, there is a chair behind him, actually. So, maybe, but even then, okay, it's someone who's lacking in spatial awareness and is unsteady and is obviously an 80-year-old man who needs to be put on the front porch in the sun and to watch some TV or something, not in charge of a country. I mean, and you listen to him talk. There's just, are American weapons being used right now inside of Russia? Quite an important thing. And of course, he says yes, but that's not the thing that I think is worth paying attention to.
I know for years you've resisted the idea of American weapons being used for any sort of direct strike inside Russia. But we did witness this shift in recent days, authorizing American weapons for limited direct strikes. Are American weapons being used right now inside Russia?
They're authorized to be used in proximity to the border. We're not authorizing strikes 200 miles into Russia. We're not authorizing strikes on Moscow, on the Kremlin.
It's the way he's talking, though. Mm-hmm. Right? He's very, very difficult to get what he's trying to say out. Like, this is a guy who is just not physically equipped for any of this.
I've said it before because I've done a bit about Biden's decline a couple of times, I think.
Yeah, it's just so obvious.
You mentioned it earlier, but and it might sound like nothing, but it's again very, very, very telling. It's your gait, the way you walk.
Yeah,
not just the way you walk, the way he just sort of stands there as well, like with a weird posture.
Yeah,
everything about it screams someone that's dying.
Yeah,
not just struggling a bit.
Yeah.
Somebody that's dying, the little baby step thing, the sort of where you can't really turn your neck much, so you turn your whole body.
Someone who's very infirm.
Yeah,
that's
someone that's not long for this. Well, and
I saw it in my own grandparents.
Yeah,
I'm just thinking Michael Keaton in the bat suit, where they didn't build in any neck movement, so he had to keep going.
Yeah, but we've all seen his gait, right? And also, you started off with a bit about where he leaves a lectern after saying some words somewhere or other. And doesn't. How many times does that have to play out?
Yeah, exactly.
I've seen that half a dozen times easily.
Yeah. And these are all things from the last week, right? Yeah. That's the thing. These are all things from the last week, because I could have gone and got historical clips from like a year ago, 6 months ago.
Yeah. And campaign trail.
Exactly. All exactly the same stuff. And again, like this Biden fumbling his sentences Like,
She knows so long as she was denied, our freedom can never be secured.
what is he saying?
My favourite one's still, America could be defined in a single word.
Yeah, exactly. Just the constant same problems are coming up, right? And so this is something that people have noticed, right? People know that there's something wrong with Biden, right? He's not the one really in charge. And even if he is, that's even worse, right? There's something wrong. So anyway, going to the Trump verdict now. So Trump was found guilty on 34 counts of retroactively changing tax records to hide payments to Stormy Daniels.
But none of them were felony crimes, and they couldn't even agree on what the felony crime itself was. And the jury was instructed they didn't have to agree on what the crime was either.
Yes. We just need enough of you to say yes on some, and then we'll pile it all together.
We don't like the big bad orange man,
and therefore. It was done via Michael Cohen, who was convicted for... What was it? Was he
lying to Congress, right. And I believe it was also forging business records before as well.
So convicted fraudster and liar.
And he broke parole.
And so it's quite a trivial thing anyway. It's like Hunter Biden's gun thing. It's quite trivial, really. B, it seems to be very stitched together, and the part of a constant campaign of lawfare against Trump and the people around Trump. And so the question is, okay, well, is it going to change the election? Well, polls suggest no, actually. Right?
Womp womp.
So that's interesting because, of course, you can tell the Democrats have been really, and what was it? Alexander Soros was coming, no, we've got to tell everyone he's a convicted felon. It's like, okay, tell everyone, because nobody's like, oh, yeah, well, a neutral court of justice suddenly found Trump guilty. Well, I guess I can't vote for that guy then, because that's not what's happening, and everyone can see that's not what's happening, right? So Rasmussen, who are generally pretty good, did a poll about this, and Trump had gained 1 percentage point after this. So didn't do what the Democrats were expecting him to crater. No. Trump's at 43% now, and Biden's at 42% in their poll. And they say this suggests any baggage carried by the president has long since been baked into the public's assessment of him. In other words, the jury decision wasn't news that surprised anyone. No, why would it be? Like, has there ever been anyone that's been subject to a more defamatory and aggressive media campaign than Trump? Has there only been anyone who's been more investigated than Donald Trump? I mean, honestly, right? Again, if you just asked me 30 years ago, oh, Donald Trump, he must have some skeletons in his closet, you'd be like, well, yeah, you know, billionaire New York playboy. Yeah, of course he's got some skeletons in his closet. And then after all this investigation, it turns out he doesn't really. Oh, what we've got him on his tax records, guys. It's like, hasn't he got a crime to his name? You know, like,
I think some of the details for the Stormy Daniels thing. I think it was that he got her to sign an NDA.
Yeah, she said,
did.
Yeah,
and he needed a lawyer to rubber stamp and do all the paperwork.
Well, actually, he didn't get her to sign it. He still claims, and there is no paperwork to this day that shows that he had any knowledge of this. Michael Cohen just presented him with a series of claims that these are bad stories that might look bad in the campaign. Do you want me to deal with them? And he went, yeah, just deal with them. And he reimbursed him for legal fees. So it wasn't even that he knew that there was a payout. It wasn't even that he knew the
that's no mens rea.
That's all I was going to say.
No guilty mind.
That's all. The only point I was actually going to make is that he was paying his lawyer legal fees for doing lawyering.
Yeah.
And the case against him is that you falsely said their lawyers' fees when in fact it was hush money or whatever. Yeah. Something else. We're just finding it in some other way.
And now you're guilty on 34 counts.
And Trump and most other people, particularly lawyers, they're like, what are you even talking about? What is this nonsense? And your average person can even understand that, right? Your average person who might not even be predisposed towards Trump can see that's a stitch-up.
Same with the mugshot. You know, everyone can see now that shouldn't have happened. And Trump played it so perfectly that it came off as a bloody giant win.
It was his only tweet he's done so far. It was just his mugshot.
But it was such a good mugshot as well. I can't get over it, right? And so, yeah, most voters have just said, look, this doesn't make any impact at all because this is all downstream of you having Trump derangement syndrome and not accepting him as the legitimate opposition, basically. So another poll was done. 55% of likely voters said that it is not a factor in their decision on who they're going to vote for. So most people are just like, obviously. 28% called it a major factor. I'm going to guess they're the heavily Democrat voting base that they have. 17%, it was a minor factor, so probably a portion of the independents, who knows. But it hasn't swayed the polls in any way, shape, or form, so it looks like everyone's minds are already made up. Weirdly, and this is really going to shock you, most people, 81%, cited the economy as the top issue. Wow, what a shock.
Immigration's second, I believe, in most polls as well.
Followed by inflation, the state of democracy, crime, the southern border, and firearms policy. So just all of the things that are real problems that real people have to deal with, and not like elite rubber stamping and like marking of things. It's like, no, I've got a red mark on you there. There we go. Look at your reputation now, Mr. Trump. Not people's problems. And so obviously it hasn't swayed anyone because, of course, all of these things were being improved under Trump. Trump was making the economy work for people. He was reducing inflation. He was, maybe not the state of democracy. I mean, it's not, I think Trump was interfering with democracy, but it was driving more mental. And of course, he was dealing with the border and various other problems. So, like, all of these things I would suggest were better under Trump than under Biden, because Biden literally got into office and started executive order undoing all of these things that were good for people. But then when people were asked about personal qualities, and the reason I showed all those videos, again, from the last week, right? From the last week, when voters were asked about the personal qualities, they said that Trump was more, quote, tough, energetic, effective, and competent than Biden.
He seems younger and more energized.
Yes. Trump, I mean, I should have got just Trump riffing on a stage from the last week, again, because he's campaigning. And his teleprompter broke the other day, and so he had to just talk. But the thing is, that's the best of Trump, where he's just given, like, okay, I've got to just fill an hour with whatever's on his mind. Brilliant. Just let him talk. He's so much more entertaining. And this is why, basically, people are just like, well, he's more energetic. I mean, yeah, obviously. Like, Joe Biden looks like he's about to collapse into dust. And interestingly as well, like, the public in America are not in any way, shape, or form persuaded by the sort of the media halo around Biden. He is, at this point, the least popular president in modern history at this 13th quarter of his term. So he's at 38.7% approval rating, which is wow, 38% of America think he's doing a great job. That's wild. Who are those people? I want to meet one.
Right.
Like, what exactly is it about Biden's presidency you like? But I mean, this is lower than literally everyone. Trump was at 46.8%, Obama was at 45.9%, and even George H.W. Bush was at 41.8%. So Biden is just on his last legs, not even joking. And another interesting thing about this confluence of events is that Biden's really starting to lose the black vote, as you can see. He's lost about 30% of them, right? Now, the black vote for the Democrats, as you can see, is 91+%. It's a secure vote for them, right? They know that they're getting black people to vote for them because the Democrats have operated a kind of feudal patronage network in these communities, which has been entirely destructive for these communities, but they essentially turn them into dependents. Well, it seems that that's not going great for them. Now, 30% isn't the end of the world. They've still got 63%, obviously. But criminalizing Trump, I've seen lots of videos from black people going, oh, he's a real N-word, right?
He's an OG.
Yeah, exactly, right? Because Trump used to be wildly popular with blacks because he was always like the aspirational figure in the rap songs. There are loads of rap songs saying, I'm going to be like Trump, rich like Trump, stuff like that.
Barack Obama himself said the American dream is to be Donald Trump.
Exactly, right? And the thing is, and so when he ran, they all had to turn on him, right? But now, okay, put out his mugshot where he's looking badass.
And you're proving that the justice system is itself rigged and unfair.
Exactly, which a lot of those people have been saying for quite some time now, since Rodney King. So it's just saying, like, I can see why, and then you've got like Kanye West and stuff like that coming out in big sport, like very influential people. This is a constituency the Democrats need.
The other thing is as well, is that this voter share will largely be black men.
Yeah.
And black men do not like Kamala Harris. And one of the reasons is...
Nobody likes Kamala Harris.
Black men do not like...
Because she locks them up.
That, but they also, lots of them, don't like voting for black women who remind them of their mothers. It's true. If you've got a high single mother culture, they don't like black femininity. They like actually aspirational...
Yeah.
black male competency. And if Trump embodies those virtues, then Shot yourselves in the foot there, Dems.
I think it's really interesting that I said before, and I was wrong, that you couldn't be president if you're a convicted felon. I thought it was. There's an age limit. You obviously have to be born an American citizen. And I think if you're clinically insane, you're also disqualified. And I thought it was also if you're a felon, but that's wrong.
Yep.
That is wrong. Someone has, I can't remember who it was now, someone actually ran for office whilst in a cell before. So it won't actually necessarily, well, it won't stop Trump from still being able to run or anything.
Absolutely.
But the thing with Biden being sort of, obviously sort of just physically at a glance, he's sort of decrepit. But the not being able to talk thing, there's no way to sort of finesse that.
Yeah.
There's no way to really properly spin all of that to say it's not a problem and he's okay and there's nothing to see here.
And what can
we've
you do?
known for a while, right? Before even 2020 election, we've known that he can't speak properly.
Yeah.
It's mad.
He can't finish a sentence without flubbing all the words. And the thing is, he doesn't even seem to notice that he's flubbed the words. Because he'll say something and then he'll just carry on as if, no, we need to know what you were just saying there because you know the sentence has to logically connect. It doesn't seem to matter. Whereas Trump is a superb communicator and seems to be in the best of health. So, okay. What did the conviction achieve? Well, nothing good for the Democrats, it seems, right? Doesn't seem to have actually been to their advantage. They haven't got a boost in the polls. They seem to be losing support of core demographics that they rely upon. Not good. What it has done is made Trump really vengeful, which is great. About time. According to NBC News, fresh off his historic guilty verdict in New York, Trump's public comments, including interviews, both have found that he's increasingly focused on the idea of retribution against his enemies if he returns to the White House. Good.
Yes.
You get what you deserve?
Michael Moore did call him in the 2016 election a human Molotov cocktail thrown at the establishment.
Yeah.
Well, you've just lit the fuse 10 feet longer.
Yeah. It's rhetoric driven by Trump's obsession that Joe Biden and Democrats have orchestrated a series of legal problems intended to derail his presidential campaign. A political persecution theory that is not supported by the facts.
Isn't it?
Oh, well, that's very persuasive and has won over no one. Literally, the American public don't really agree with you, basically.
Was that NBC News saying that?
Yeah, that was NBC News saying that. And what
Weren't they the ones that employed Matt Lauer, who literally had a button in his office to lock in interns?
Maybe.
Yeah, not the most credible organisation.
Was it them or CNN who one of the interns was found dead in the office?
Oh, I'm not sure.
There was one of them where it was just completely just passed over. No, everyone, he's just dead in the office. That's weird.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, but so then they say, well, he was found guilty on 34 counts of falsifying business records, and the Biden administration had nothing to do with the case. It's like, right, so we're going to trade on the myth of neutral institutions, are we? So I mean, we could always go to House Judiciary Chairman Jim Jordan, who has some serious questions about that. He points out that the Democrats demonstrate their obsession with investigating a person rather than prosecuting crime, and he says that the fact that the former senior Biden Justice Department official, whose previous employment consisted of leading a wave of state litigation against Trump administration policies, is now leading the prosecution of Biden's chief political rival, only adds to the perception that the Biden Justice Department is politicized and weaponized. So yeah, everyone can see it. Yeah. I mean, the New York Attorney General literally just came out and was like, yeah, I'm going to get Trump. It's like, right, okay, neutral institution, is it? Nothing to do with Biden, is it? Come on. It's laughable. Everyone can see it. And this is why none of these prosecutions are having an impact on Trump's polling. Apart from with the blacks, where it's going up.
That was that Letitia James?
Yes.
Yeah, saying, I'm going to get him.
Yeah. Literally come out. And it's like, no judge should ever be saying that about anyone. Right. When you're saying, when they got Nixon, it's like, oh, he's a hard rule of law guy. I would love if every judge was a hard rule of law guy, but apparently they're not like that. Right. So, okay. So everyone can see this is not, that's the case. Things are actually just fine for Trump when it comes to polling. Trump also raised about $400 million since the New York City guilty verdict, since Letitia James. So $200 million from this most recent conviction and then $200 million before. So, okay, great. Things are going quite well for Trump there. And apparently, former FBI employees are worried about Trump getting into power because they're worried that he's going to jail them. It's like, what would he be jailing you for? So when you're saying you've done something here, there's a paper trail, is there, that's going to lead to Trump going, no, investigate, jail. Okay, maybe you shouldn't have committed crimes. And if you're thinking, well, hang on a second, Trump's going to persecute his political enemies. Well, maybe, but whose example will he be following? You know, Steve Bannon's apparently going to jail. Bannon hasn't done anything. Bannon was in the White House for like 6 months in 2017. And even then...
Is this because he didn't show up?
It is because he failed to provide documents and testimony to the House Select Committee. So he's been found in contempt of a Democrat.
Was this the January 6th Select Committee?
No, this... it was. Sorry, yes.
So the entirely partisan, completely chatting out of their backside Select Committee are now...
Yeah. Who are persecuting a bunch of just regular American patriots for not being violent as they walked through the house after being let in.
Unguided tour of the Capitol.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't unguided. The police were with them.
Oh, yeah, fair point.
Like, literally, you can see all the footage when they're walking around with them. So it's like, right, so that's a politically motivated witch hunt. And they're complaining that Bannon has not cooperated with their witch hunt. And he's been sentenced to 4 months in prison. Bannon has appealed. And the judge eventually said, well, look, the appeal's been rejected. Bannon's going to take it to the Supreme Court, and the judge decided, no, while that's happening, you're going to go to jail. So, okay, Bannon obviously sees this as highly politicized, which it obviously is, and that's not where it ends. I mean, there are like Wisconsin Attorney General is filing felony charges against Trump's attorneys. So they're going after Trump and all of the people around him, and they have been for ages. Loads of people around Trump have been targeted because they're very, very, very worried they're going to lose the next election.
Well, I think Michael Flynn, was it 2016 they went after him with the Logan Act, which I think only one person had been prosecuted under since the early 19th century when it was passed.
I mean, I'm not even going to provide a list because the list is just too long and exhaustive. But it keeps going on. So they're really concerned that like MAGA's jail plan is going to be to jail a bunch of the people who have wronged them.
Is this the mythical Project 2025?
No. This is just concerns that they have, and this reflection of the elite class, right? Axios. So they're worried that if Trump wins in November, his supporters will push him to investigate and prosecute Alvin Bragg and various others. Bannon told us Bragg could be targeted by the 14th Amendment, which is the Equal Protection Amendment, and the 4th Amendment, outlawing unreasonable searches and seizures by the government, plus a score of other laws. So yeah, Bannon is going to be in Trump's ear going, no, get them. Get them for doing this to you, for doing this to us, for doing this to all of us. And whose fault is it going to be? It's your own fault. You know, like you turned it into a banana republic. You were like, we're going to persecute everyone we can in the previous administration. And all you've done by doing that is not impact Trump, fill his war chest, and start peeling off parts of your own core demographic and make it so that in the public's mind, they just know, okay, this is all just political anger that's being expressed by the Democrats.
And to add to the list, and destabilising the Republic itself.
That is one of the top concerns of voters, actually.
Dealing death wounds to the Republic.
Yeah.
Wounding it, giving it bruises that won't heal.
Yeah.
Because I've just finished a series on epochs, check that out on lotuseaters.com, all about the lives and careers of Marius and Sulla.
Yep.
And again, there you've got this example of a tit for tat, forever escalating two factions that sort of start persecuting and oppressing each other, and then violence, and then massive violence, and then civil war, and then whole-scale massacres.
Yeah.
That's where this leads. The slippery slope of the Democrats using the Justice Department to get their political enemies, Trump getting into office and arresting a whole bunch of people legitimately. Well, when it's their turn again, they'll go ape.
Yeah.
And then it will flip back the other way.
Yep.
And very quickly you find yourself...
This is how republics die.
Right.
This is the death.
This is how republics die.
Yeah. And if any of them had any kind of self-awareness or self-control, they would have said, look, it doesn't even matter if we think we could get them on these trivial things. We shouldn't do it, because no matter what we do, we'll have the aspect of political persecution. And it's destabilizing to the polity itself. That's the problem.
The problem is, though, but if you... it's a catch-22 situation, because if you don't do anything, it's almost like a red rag to a bull. They're not going to stop. The leftists won't stop.
No. But like, if they weren't persecuting Trump, then Trump would not be persecuting them, I think.
Okay, yeah.
Trump's a very genial guy. He didn't come into office and just start,
Jailing Hillary Clinton as promised.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He didn't do any of
He
these
didn't
things.
drain the swamp very much, did
No,
he?
weirdly, you can frame it that Trump was actually quite responsible with the way that he approached all of this. He was actually quite mature. And, Trump's a conciliatory guy. He wants people to come on board. Whether that was a good idea or not, that's a different question to answer in hindsight. But you can't argue that Trump didn't actually approach it with a responsible attitude. He actually did, to his fault, and this is why he ends up getting screwed. But that was the right thing to do, whereas the Democrats have not done the right thing at all, at any point, at any stage in this process. All they do is demonize and persecute. And say, okay, well, then you sow the wind, reap the whirlwind.
Because Trump, I wouldn't be surprised if Trump wins. He does try to drain the swamp a bit. Does try to jail a bunch of key people.
Yeah, no, they deserve it.
And then when it's their turn again, well, I've already made the point.
Yeah.
But it's very difficult to break that cycle.
In fact, I can't think of an example where it has been broken.
Yeah.
So this might just be an inevitable consequence of being a republic. But I personally firmly put the blame on the Democrats for this. People voted for Trump.
Sure.
You should have just sucked it up and accepted it. That's what you should have done. But instead, you decided to take the aggressive political route of turning your country into a banana republic that was going to go down to the road of civil war. You chose it. Okay.
I hope you appreciated that segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters. And if you want to see more of what we're doing, what you want to do is pre-order this lovely magazine, Islander. It's on our merch store, which you can find on our website. Make sure to get it because it's a limited run thing. And if you want to see what else we're up to, you can follow us on Twitter where we share everything else. Thank you very much for watching and goodbye.